Okay, let's just jump right in. I want you to imagine a game like The Sims. But what if the characters weren't just following simple pre-programmed rules? What if they had their own memories, they built their own relationships, and they planned out their days all by themselves? We're talking about creating an entire believable, interactive, artificial society basically from scratch. And to show you just how wild this can get, check out this quote from the paper. All it took was giving one agent the idea to throw a party. That's it. From there, they took over. They started spreading the word, making new friends, even asking each other out on dates for the party. None of this was scripted. It was all emergent behavior. So that begs the question, right? How is that even possible? How can a bunch of AI agents, with no direct orders, manage to pull off something as socially complicated as planning a party? Well, to figure this out, the researchers built a little digital town they called Smallville. Think of it like a virtual petri dish. Inside, there are 25 unique AI agents. Each one gets a simple one-paragraph backstory to start, and that's it. From that point on, they're left to their own devices to live out their digital lives. So, what's the secret sauce here? What makes these agents feel so real and believable? It all comes down to a brand new kind of AI architecture.
The whole system is basically built on three core pillars. First, you've got the memory stream, which is like the agent's entire life story. Second is reflection, which is kind of like the agent's ability to think deeply about things. And third is planning, which lets them figure out what to do next.
All right, let's break that down. First up, the memory stream. The easiest way to think about this is like a complete, unabridged diary. Every single thing the agent sees, says, or does gets recorded here in plain English. It's this massive log of experiences that it can always draw from. But just having a bunch of memories isn't enough to be intelligent. That's where reflection comes in, and this part is key. This is the process where the agent looks back at its memories and starts connecting the dots to form bigger ideas. So, for example, it might notice it has a lot of memories about working in a lab and conclude, you know what, I'm a dedicated researcher. These reflections then become new, more powerful memories themselves. And finally, there's planning. This is what turns all that memory and reflection into actual, believable behavior. The agent comes up with a high-level plan for its day, like work on my research paper, and then breaks that down into smaller and smaller steps. This makes sure its actions are consistent, not just a bunch of random reactions. And, crucially, if something new happens, it can totally change its plans on the fly. So that's the theory behind the architecture. But how do we know it actually works? Well, let's take a look at how the researchers put these digital citizens to the test. And this is where things get really, really clever. Instead of just watching the agents run around, the researchers treated them like actual subjects in a study. They literally interviewed them. They jump into the simulation and ask them questions in plain language to see if they could remember things, what their plans were, and how self-aware they seemed. And the results? Well, they were pretty stark. The agents running on the full architecture with memory, reflection, and planning were rated as way more believable. But as soon as you started taking pieces away, especially that reflection component, the believability score just plummeted. It really proved that you need all three parts working together to make a convincing agent. Here is a perfect example of why reflection is such a game changer. An agent named Maria was asked what to get her friend Wolfgang for his birthday. Now, the version without reflection just drew a blank. But the one with reflection, it synthesized its memories of Wolfgang and came up with this incredibly thoughtful and specific idea based on his unique interests. I mean, that's a massive leap forward. And hey, remember that Valentine's Day party? After just 2 simulated days, 52% of all the agents in Smallville had heard about it. This is a fantastic example of information just spreading organically. Nobody told them to spread the news. It just happened through their own conversations. And here's how it all shook out in the end. Out of the 12 agents who were invited to the party, 5 of them actually showed up. The other 7 knew about it but decided to do other things. And that's what's so cool about it. It's not a perfect attendance record, it's a believable one. That little bit of social chaos is exactly what makes the simulation feel so authentic. So clearly, this research is a lot more than just a cool experiment. Let's talk a little bit about what this could all mean for the future. Are we, looking at a world with new AI neighbors? The potential applications are honestly pretty mind-blowing.
I mean, just imagine NPCs in video games who actually remember you and have their own rich inner lives. Or what about using these agents to test out new social media platforms and see how communities might actually form? You could even create a safe space to practice a difficult conversation with an AI that can react in a truly realistic way.
Of course, anytime you have a technology this powerful, you have to stop and ask some serious questions. We absolutely have to talk about the ethical side of creating AI that is this believable. And the researchers themselves bring up some really important things to think about. For instance, what happens when people start forming unhealthy emotional attachments to agents that feel so incredibly real? There's also a huge potential for misuse, right? Like using them for super targeted persuasion or manipulation. And because these AIs learn from data that reflects our world, there's a very real danger they could learn and even amplify the biases that already exist in our society. So, when you boil it all down, what's the key takeaway here? Generative agents are a massive leap forward. We're finally moving beyond AI that just gives a one-off response to AI that can build and maintain a consistent sense of self over time, all based on its own unique memories and experiences. And that really leaves us with one final, and I think fascinating, question to chew on. If we can now create these complex, believable simulations of human society, what might they end up revealing about the real thing? What are we going to learn about ourselves?